right, here we go. Hello, everybody. I'm Tony Beadle, President and CEO of Rockport Music. I am here today with Barry Shiffman, our Artistic Director of the Rockport Chamber Music Festival and Classical Programming here. And Barry, unlike your predecessors here who had a long tenure in their role, you have barely started to get off the launch pad when the pandemic hit us all. However, I'd like you to talk about your first two seasons because I thought they were pretty stunning, and what your thinking was from the time you got the job and then to the first festival.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Great to be able to think back on those first two seasons. And as I said before, being an artistic director, so much of success is based in the trust of the audience. And I inherited an unbelievable amount of trust from that audience that was generated by my predecessors. And I know I know my own time working with David DeVoe when I was in the St. Lawrence Quartet. I know what an audience following he had developed. So for me, what I was hoping to do with the festival is build on that strength of that following and bring in an element of new adventure, if you will, but taking that audience with our core on that journey. So when I think back to my very first weekend of programming in 2000, I guess it was 18, I wanted to signal to the organization and to the audience that the world has not collapsed around you, and it's not going to be a 1 week Schoenberg festival followed by John Zorn, composer in residence for the next 3 years. Although I must say I like both of those artists very much. So if you remember on the opening night, and I remember for me it was really such a magical night. We opened with Tchaikovsky's Souvenir de Florence, the great sextet that's been presented many times over the years at Rockport. I got to play first violin. I was able to choose whoever I wanted to play along with me, and I put together a dream team of musicians, which was really exhilarating. And going over and playing first viola, we had Roberto Diaz, and playing on second viola, his extraordinary former student Milena, who's now in the Dover Quartet. So it was like just an extraordinary group. And I think the audience came and thought, oh, the world is, as we left it, it's excellent. We're hearing the music we love, and what a wonderful bunch of musicians. And that was how they left at intermission. And when they were out at intermission, in came the staging, the lighting design, all of the stands necessary to present Osvaldo Golohov's masterpiece, Ire, which is a song cycle in Hebrew and Ladino and Spanish and English and Arabic with electronic accordion and percussion and an extraordinary vocal part that was staged and lit and dramatic and surtitles and harp. And now, if we had opened with that piece, and I told the audience, I'm really excited to present this incredible piece of Osvaldo Golov that's in Arabic, people, but I think what happened was, they came along on the journey, they came back after intermission, and in a way, their minds were blown by the power of Osvaldo's music. And it was received so well. It was such a, so I thought that was a really wonderful way to begin. And we did some more adventurous programming over that summer, but we also did a whole lot of the music and the presentations that we know and love. So it's that balance. When I think back to David bringing the young St. Lawrence Quartet that I was a member of at the time to Rockport, he was really invested in supporting young artists. That was always part of Rockport. And that was one of the reasons why I was so excited to come and work for this organization. And there was a real willingness, both in your office and Karen's office and at the board level, to allow me to create a fellows program that brought some of the best young performers of our time to the festival and embedded them in the festival, both on the main stage, in community outreach concerts, in family programming. And so we started that right away in my first year, and we grew that in my second year. We had great plans for it last summer, which of course fell away because of the pandemic. But that will be an area that we continue to grow.
Yes, and you also sort of reintroduced the concept of mix and match, where you had ensembles overlapping and sort of, you know, just redistributing personnel depending on the repertoire needs and presenting some music that way, which was a welcome treat because they were familiar faces perhaps from the night before, and it's just a different approach. And I think the musicians themselves enjoy it as well.
Yeah, the musicians love it. I think I will continue doing that. You know what that model is. You know, let's imagine you bring, you bring a piano trio, and that piano trio has been touring the whole year, and they're playing the same programs, and it sounds fantastic. Um, but there's an energy that comes in the music making when the creation is happening closer to the concert time. So you take a member of that piano trio, just as you're suggesting, this mix and match, and you have another group of musicians that are coming and they rehearse for a few days on a project. And there's, you know, if you get it right, if you're a successful alchemist, the sparks really fly. And seeing that happen is one of the great joys in curating. Is, you know, you think, when I would really love to see that artist with that art, and and putting that together. Um, in a way, one of my great disappointments of last summer um, was that I had dreamt up a number of those projects that couldn't happen, and one of them, we had a number of artists coming, and one of those projects was to conclude with the Beethoven Septet, which is a great piece of Beethoven, but I think the group that we had lined up to do it would have just sizzled, and the people that were involved in that were chosen were really excited. Oh my goodness, I've never played with that person. I've always wanted to. Oh, that's going to be great. So we'll do more of that, and I think that will be really great fun. You know, another thing that we have been able to do, Tony, that I've really enjoyed is expanding expanding from the stage. So we have that extraordinary stage, right? And one of the great stages in chamber music, in the chamber music world. But it's formal. It's a formal stage, and so the type of music making that happens from that has a kind of formality, which is a good thing. But when you go up to the reception after a concert and you have a glass of wine, suddenly that formality is gone, and that relaxation, that vibe in the room is something that really interested me. And so we developed, that late night cabaret series, and we started in our first year, and it was really just an experiment. And the room can only hold 100 people, but we're at capacity with that
That's right.
series, and I think we'll do more of that.
And also, don't forget, especially the first summer, we had a string quartet in residence, of sort of a quasi fellowship program, and their outreach was unbelievable. They were everywhere around town, and
They were everywhere around town, and they loved doing it. And we have our wonderful education director in Josue, who is motivated to get out there and work with us to bring music to a whole bunch of places that otherwise wouldn't have it. I think we've seen over the last year, during the pandemic, just how actually crucial bringing the arts to communities that maybe can't access it. I think of the long-term care homes as an example. They have been really isolated, and there's been a lot of attempted outreach to those homes. That's just one of our natural partners moving forward. And then there's all the public art type presentations where you're playing down on the wharf, or you're playing here, or you're playing there, which just enlivens the town with arts awareness. Of course, it's lovely if that leads people to come to buy a ticket in the hall, but that's not really the goal. The goal is just to affect people's day. They walk,
sure,
and that's been, so there's an irreverence there, I think, which is great fun.
yeah. So this year, as we speak, we have a this is March. We're talking here. There's a festival on the books, but we can't tell you that much about it. And we certainly don't want to have it there because if it changes, we're going to look really stupid in this interview. But we do have something planned, quite a bit actually. And but nevertheless, there's the future. And so, if you were to look in your crystal ball or in your mind's eye, Barry, what are some of the things that you would like to see in future years at Rockport Chamber Music Festival? Don't be afraid here, but.
Well, I think there are a number of things. I think building on some of those projects we've done. So, you just touched on having that young quartet in residence. That's something we really want to continue, where the festival is really young artists are embedded in the festival. There's a real energy that comes from them. And in addition to having that group, there's a whole amazing number of musicians that have not yet discovered Rockport. And some of those musicians are based in Europe, some are based in Asia, some are based in the United States. But we want Rockport to be a destination, not just a stop along prearranged tours. We want people to dream of coming to Rockport and being with us for a week and creating over that week projects. So we're in discussion with a number of artists, and which are with the idea being, we'd like you to come to Rockport and you'll play a recital and let's talk about what music we might commission and what are the projects that. And so suddenly there's an access to a sandbox for artists that they don't often have. And there's an excitement in those discussions because we have resources that are very special. We have the town of Rockport. Who doesn't want to hang out in Rockport? I mean, don't underestimate the importance of the beauty of place, the ability to go and grab a lobster and go down to the beach. Those the elements that make Rockport great before the hall are what make Rockport great with the hall. So there's that. Then they have the incredible hall. They have the incredible audience, that trusting audience I spoke of, and they have the financial resources that we can hopefully bring to realize these projects. So I think that will be one of the directions we go, where artists spend a little more time with us over the summer rather than just the drive-by.
Great. So one thing I have to ask you, other than the Rockport Chamber Music Festival and all its activities, what's your favorite part of coming to Rockport every summer?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, to be really honest, I think like everything in my life, seeing places discovered through the eyes of my children is what really is extraordinary. And I mean, Tony, you know how busy it is during the festival, right? I mean, it's crazy busy and we love it. But in my days in Rockport, I would wake up very early. I would get to the office before people got there. And
that's right. You were there when I got there, and I'm there early. Yeah.
Yeah, the two of us. Then I would generally go back home and pick up my daughters and go for a walk down on the beach, grab a donut, and just sit there with them. And those memories for me and for the kids are really powerful. So Rockport is a destination in the kind of psyche of our family.
That's great. And you said the magic word, donuts.
I mean,
on that happy note, we're going to thank you everybody for watching, and thank you, Barry. And please enjoy all of our future concerts and other features on this webpage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Done. Good.
Okay, you got enough?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's great.